The Serpent's Engine, the Code of Reckoning. If you love drama, poetic justice, and unexpected twists, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the like button so you don't miss the shocking payoff of this story. Attention! If you love drama, poetic justice, and unexpected twists, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the like button so you don't miss the shocking payoff of this story. The Trade of Shadows, London, November 2nd, 2025. The inner workings of Sterling Solutions were a labyrinth of glass and steel, a monument to Marcus Vance's ego. But tonight, as champagne bubbled at the annual Tech Innovation Gala, his empire was about to crumble. Not from a technical failure, but from the silence of a woman he had underestimated. A woman who, like a time bomb, was ready to detonate. Marcus, at 42, the capital's visionary, didn't know it. He thought he was flying high. In reality, he was plummeting into the abyss. Marcus Vance smiled as the pen touched the paper. With one clean signature, his divorce was final. He felt a literal weight lift off his shoulders. He looked across the polished mahogany table at Eleanor, his wife of 10 years, now his ex-wife. She was a ghost, a gray mouse staring at her hands. He had won. He kept the company, the multi-million-dollar mansion, the future. She kept her, well, whatever it was she did. As he pushed back his chair, triumphant, he saw a black sedan pull up outside. Then, his smile froze as Eleanor stood up and the car door opened. A man stepped out. Not just any man. Ethan Cross, the billionaire. Marcus's smile didn't just fade. It shattered. The gala and the engine. Marcus Vance lived his life at a victorious altitude of 30,000 feet, and tonight he was at the peak. The occasion was the annual Metropolitan Tech Gala, a dazzling black-tie venture capital event. Marcus, in a custom Tom Ford tuxedo that cost more than most people's cars, was the undisputed center of gravity. His company, Sterling Solutions, was the toast of the city. He wasn't just a CEO. He was a visionary. "The key is predictive agility, gentlemen," Marcus said, his voice a smooth, confident baritone. He swirled a glass of 18-year-old Macallan, the ice clinking like a small bell. His audience, 2 hedge fund managers and a rival CEO, hung on his every word. "Anyone can read the present. We at Sterling Solutions sell the future." Across the ballroom, his new girlfriend, Tiffany, a 24-year-old influencer with a $1 million smile and 2 million followers, waved a perfectly manicured hand. She was draped in a crimson dress that left nothing to the imagination and everything to the social media post. He'd join her later, after he finished being brilliant. "It's incredible, Marcus," said one of the fund managers, a man named Ben. "Your engine, Aegis, is black magic. It hasn't failed a market projection in 3 years. How do you do it?" Marcus smiled. "A magician never reveals his secrets. Let's just say I see the patterns others don't." "And your wife Eleanor?" Ben asked, taking a sip. "She's not here tonight." Marcus gave a short, condescending laugh. "Ah, Eleanor. No. Galas aren't her thing. You know how it is. She's brilliant, of course, but domestic. I think she's happiest at home tinkering with her spreadsheets." The men laughed. They all knew the type, the academic wife who didn't understand the high-stakes world they inhabited. They clapped Marcus on the back for being stuck with the dull, unglamorous gray mouse. What none of them knew was that, at that very moment, the Titan's phone was vibrating. He'd been ignoring text messages for an hour. "Eleanor, Gentech data is wrong." "Eleanor, the sensor readings from their Singapore hub are failing. It's not a supply issue, it's a hardware fault. You're getting false negatives." "Eleanor, Marcus, are you there? Their CEO is at the gala. He's going to pull the contract if you give him the wrong data. Marcus finally glanced at the last text. Annoying. Marcus, handle it. And stop vibrating my phone. You're being dramatic. He now saw the CEO of Gentech Pharma, a formidable man named Dr. Archer, heading his way. Archer did not look happy. Vance, Archer said, skipping the formalities. I'm hearing rumors. My team says your Aegis engine projects a 40% drop in our Q4 logistics. We're about to invest $100 million in a new distribution hub based on that. I'm backing out. Convince me. Marcus froze. This was the client, the $50 million a year contract that had made Sterling Solutions. His mind went blank. He didn't know the data. He only sold it. He stammered. Well, Archer, the projections, the agility. Archer's eyes narrowed. I don't pay you for agility, Marcus. I pay you for answers. Marcus's hands, sticky with sweat, grabbed his phone under the table. He clumsily opened Eleanor's text chain. He squinted at her last message. Eleanor, tell him to check the diagnostic logs on server SG-compatible 78. The humidity sensor is fried. It's causing a cascading failure that looks like a supply drop. It's not a $100 million problem. It's a $1,000 part. Tell him. Marcus cleared his throat. He looked up. His confidence. The mask he had worn for so long, it had become his face, snapping back into place. Archer, he said, his voice suddenly sharp and precise. Your problem isn't your supply chain. It's your hardware. Specifically, the humidity sensor on your server in the Singapore hub, IDS-GQ78, is fried. It's causing a data cascade that is falsifying your inventory. You don't need a new $100 million hub. You need a $1,000 part and a new IT tech. The blood drained from Dr. Archer's face. He snapped his fingers at a nearby aide. Patch me through to Singapore. Get me a diagnostic on the Myrmidial server, now. Archer looked at Marcus, his suspicion replaced by a deep, almost fearful respect. How for God's sake could you know that? Marcus Vance leaned in, a wolfish smile playing on his lips. As I said, Archer, I see the patterns. He accepted the thunderous clap on the back. He took another sip of his Macallan and didn't look at his phone again. Interactive question. Do you think Marcus truly saw the patterns, or was something else at play? Leave your comment below. The silent strategist, later that night, at 2 a.m., he stumbled into their sprawling, minimalist mansion. The glass and steel monstrosity had been featured in Architectural Digest, a testament to his success. Tiffany had passed out in the cab, having drunk too much rosé champagne. He found Eleanor where he always found her, in her study. It was the only room he hadn't renovated. It was a mess of servers, whiteboards covered in what looked like scribbles, and half-empty tea mugs. She was asleep at her desk, her head resting on a keyboard, her glasses crooked. She looked small, exhausted. Elle, he said, nudging her shoulder. Elle, wake up. You can't sleep here. It's unprofessional. She started, pushing her hair back. Marcus, you're home. You talked to Dr. Archer. Was it okay? Okay, Marcus laughed, unbuttoning his tuxedo. It was perfect. You should have seen his face, Elle. You were right. The sensor thing. Brilliant. He thought I was a god. He tossed his jacket over a stack of her research papers. Oh, good, she said, her voice low with relief. I was so worried. Yes, well, you worry too much, he said, patting her on the head. It was the gesture one gives a loyal dog. You'll never believe the night I had. Ben's in. He's increasing his stake. Come on. I'm going to be bigger than ever. He looked around the room, a wave of disgust washing over him. We really need to clean this place up, Elle. It's a fire hazard. And Tiffany is coming for brunch tomorrow. I don't want her to see all this. Your little hobby is getting out of hand." Eleanor looked at him. Her eyes, which he had always considered dull, mouse brown, were still. There was no anger. There was no exhaustion. Only a deep, unsettling clarity. "A hobby?" she repeated. It wasn't a question. "You know what I mean," he said, waving his hand dismissively. The code thing. It's great. It helps me. But it's messy. Anyway, I'm going to bed. Lock up." He walked out, whistling. He didn't see her move her hand to her desk drawer. He didn't see her pull out a small, encrypted hard drive. And he didn't see her turn back to the screen, where a single, secure chat window was open. The contact name was simple. EC. Her message was 2 words. "He's home." The reply was instantaneous. "The legal team is on standby. The jet is fueled." "Are you sure, Eleanor?" She looked at the $5,000 tuxedo jacket crumpled on top of her invaluable doctoral thesis. She thought of him calling it a hobby. She thought of the other woman asleep in a cab outside their home. She typed, "I'm sure. He's cutting out the cancer. I'm just making sure he doesn't take the healthy tissue with him." The Romero Protocol. Eleanor Vance had not been a gray mouse her whole life. She had been a supernova. At 22, she was the undisputed, undefeated champion of the MIT Code Jam, a legendary 72-hour coding and endurance competition. In her senior year, she was the last one standing, her screen a blur of elegant, impossibly fast code. Her final opponent, a 30-year-old tech titan who had entered on a whim, finally gave up on hour 68. That man was Ethan Cross. He had found her afterward, drinking a Red Bull and reviewing her work. "I've never seen code like that," he had said, his voice hoarse with exhaustion and awe. It's not just efficient, it's predictive." "How?" She had looked up, her eyes bright with caffeine and genius. "You all use brute force. You try to answer the question. I'm just teaching the machine to better understand the question. It's a protocol I'm working on. The Romero Protocol." He had offered her a job on the spot, a blank check, a lab, anything she wanted. She had turned him down. "That's incredibly kind, Mr. Cross, but I'm getting married." Ethan had blinked. "Married? To who? Another engineer? A physicist?" "No." She had blushed. He's in business, Marcus Vance. He's a visionary. He's going to build a company and I'm going to help him." Ethan Cross, a man who saw patterns in everything, had looked at this brilliant, naive young woman and given her a warning. "Miss Romero, Eleanor, a rocket engine is designed to go to space. You can't put it in a Toyota Camry and expect it to do anything but rip the car apart. Don't let him ground you." As a wedding gift, he had sent her an odd, antique, high-security lock branded kryptonite. The note read, "Never let someone less intelligent than you set the combination." She had kept it. She had, for 10 years, been Marcus's rocket engine, trying to power the Toyota Camry. And just as Ethan had predicted, it had torn her apart. Marcus hadn't stolen her work. Not at first. He had borrowed it. I just need a little of the Aegis magic for this pitch. Can you run the numbers for this? Just your hobby code." Her hobby was, in fact, Romero Protocol 6 3.0, an adaptive, self-learning AI that could model markets, predict hardware failures, and analyze data with terrifying accuracy. The Aegis engine he sold to clients? It was a clunky, old-fashioned interface. He had paid a team of developers to build a dashboard that he could understand, overlaid on her work. He was the slick salesman. She was the entire factory. He had convinced her it was teamwork. He had convinced her she needed him. "You'd hate it, Elle. It's all PR. It's a performance. You are the art. I am the stage." He had isolated her. He took her off the payroll 3 years ago. "It's for tax purposes, honey," he had purred. "We're a family asset. It's simpler. You're an unpaid spousal partner. It protects you." She had believed him until 3 months ago. She was updating their shared family calendar on the kitchen iPad, and she saw the bookings. Maldives. 2 weeks. Overwater presidential bungalow. For Tiffany Saez. Her blood ran cold. It wasn't the affair that shocked her. It was the banality, the cliché. Then, she investigated. Eleanor, the architect of the most sophisticated predictive engine on Earth, turned her gaze inward. She used her own protocol to scan her life. She found the text messages, the ones he thought he'd deleted. "Tiffany. She's so boring. What do you even talk about?" "Marcus. We don't talk. She's my unambitious anchor. But I need her to keep the engine running. 1 more year. Then I'll cut the cord. I'll buy her an apartment, and we'll be free." An unambitious anchor. She had sat there in the dark, the white light of the iPad illuminating a decade of lies. The stage wasn't there to showcase the art. It was there to hide it. He wasn't protecting her. He was imprisoning her. He was a parasite. And he was about to cut the cord. She hadn't cried. She had acted. Her first call was to Ethan Cross. It was 4 a.m. He had picked up on the first ring. "Ethan?" she had said, her voice a whisper. "The Toyota is on fire, and the driver is trying to take me with it. Is that job offer still on the table?" There was a pause. "For you, Eleanor, always. My team will contact you at sunrise. Welcome to Agita Innovations." Her second call was to a lawyer Ethan's team recommended. "A shark named Ms. Vance has filed for divorce," Eleanor told her 2 weeks later. "He's offering me an insulting lump sum, my car, and my hobby materials." Ms. Vance had smiled. "Oh, that's perfect. We'll accept it." We aren't going to fight?" "Oh, heavens no, Ms. Romero. We're not going to fight. We're going to accept. With one small addition." The plan was simple. It was brutal. It was elegant. It was hers. For the last 3 months, while Marcus was at Galas and planning his Maldives escape, Eleanor was migrating. She wasn't just backing up the Romero protocol. She was moving it, piece by piece, in tiny encrypted data packets, hidden inside Sterling Solutions' own outgoing data reports to clients. She pulled her entire life's work off Marcus's servers. The code left on his system was a shell, a demo version, as Ethan had called it. It was the clunky, ancient V3.0. The real work, the V6.0, the one she had been secretly building for 2 years, was being reassembled on a private, isolated server farm in a secure data bunker in Zurich. An Agita Innovations property. The kryptonite lock Ethan had given her was on the main server rack in her study. It wasn't a metaphor. It was a physical key. It was the manual override. When she walked out of that house, she would turn that key. And the Aegis engine, the black magic Marcus sold, would be nothing but an empty box. He thought he was cutting her out. He had no idea. She was the one holding the scalpel. Intermediate CTA. If you are loving how this is unfolding, don't forget to like and share with your friends. Help this epic story reach more people. The final signature. The conference room at DeWitt, Gable & Klein was a monument to old-world power. The mahogany table was a single 30-foot slab of wood, polished to a mirror finish. The air smelled of floor wax and 100-year-old money. Marcus was in his element. He sat at the head of the table, flanked by his lawyer, Robert. Robert was a bulldog, a man who billed 1 thing an hour to destroy families and enjoyed his job. Across the way, lost in the shadows, sat Eleanor and her lawyer, Ms. Vance. Ms. Vance was a scalpel. She was small, wore a plain, unassuming suit, and hadn't said a word in 20 minutes. "So we agree," Robert bellowed, his voice echoing in the quiet room. My client, Mr. Vance, in his magnanimity, retains 100% of the Sterling Solutions corporate entity, the multi-million-dollar marital home in Greenwich, and the entire stock portfolio. Ms. Vance, soon to be Ms. Romero, will receive a one-time payment of $500,000, the 2018 Volvo she currently drives, and Robert squinted at the paper. And, all personal effects and intellectual property created by her unrelated to Sterling Solutions operations. He looked at Ms. Vance. That's the clause you added. Ms. Vance nodded. Yes. Her hands clasped. That is correct. Robert looked at Marcus and stifled a laugh. Are you sure you don't want to, I don't know, ask for the dog back? Marcus gave a rich, condescending chuckle. Now, Robert, let her have her knitting patterns. It's fine. He looked at Eleanor. His expression was a practiced masterpiece of condescending sympathy. Truly, I wish you the best. I hope this is enough for you to, start fresh. Eleanor's face was a perfect, impassive mask. She had not looked at him once. She only stared at her clasped hands in her lap. The perfect defeated gray mouse, Marcus thought. God, this was easy. He was almost euphoric. He was free. He was unchained. He had just saved himself from a 50-50 split that would have cost him tens of millions. He had bought his freedom for $500,000 and a 2018 Volvo. He was, in every sense, a genius. Good, Robert said, sliding the thick stack of papers toward Eleanor. Ms. Romero, if you would sign. Ms. Vance put a hand on the document. One moment. She pulled out a fresh sheet of paper. A small addendum I'm sure Mr. Vance won't mind. It's just a clarification of the personal projects clause. It specifically names one of those projects, the Romero Protocol, as her exclusive property. A formality, you understand. Marcus threw his head back and laughed loudly. She was trying to keep her hobby. This was priceless. The Romero Protocol, he repeated, his voice dripping amusement. That thing you scribble in your notebooks, of course. Yes, you can keep it. God knows I don't understand a word of it. It's probably worth dozens of dollars. Sign it, Robert, Marcus said, waving his hand. Come on, let's get this done. I have a 1 p.m. reservation at the Capitol Grill. Robert shrugged, initialed the addendum, and pushed the stack. Eleanor took the pen. Her hand was perfectly steady. She signed Eleanor Romero in a clear, strong hand. The stack was pushed to Marcus. He took his own custom-engraved Mont Blanc pen. He looked at Eleanor, who finally looked at him. Her eyes were unreadable. He gave her a slow, pitying wink. And then, with a flourish, Marcus Vance smiled as the pen touched the paper. He signed his name with the practiced confidence of a king. And with that, Robert boomed. All matters are concluded. Mr. Vance, Ms. Romero, you are divorced. Marcus snapped his briefcase shut. He stood up, adjusting the cuffs of his $5,000 suit. He felt 10 pounds lighter. He felt victorious. Eleanor, he said, the picture of magnanimity. No hard feelings, eh? I'll have my assistant coordinate the removal of your stuff from the study at the end of the day. I'm sure you'll be more comfortable in wherever you go. Thank you, Marcus, she said. Her voice was level, almost light. You have no idea. He swept out of the conference room, Robert at his side, the bulldog already on his phone, no doubt racking up his next bill. Marcus was composing a text message. To Tiffany. Subject. Done. Anchor cut. Prep the champagne. The good stuff. He was so busy basking in the glow of his own brilliance, he didn't notice Eleanor and Ms. Vance had not followed him to the elevator. In fact, they had stayed behind for one last piece of business. As the elevator doors closed on Marcus, Ms. Vance handed Eleanor a small, encrypted tablet. "You're free," Ms. Vance said. Eleanor's fingers flew across the screen. She was typing a command. Command: execute sanctuary. Command: revoke key. Sterling. Solutions. Command: wipe local shell. 3. A single line of green text appeared. Executing. "It's done," Eleanor said, handing the tablet back. "And Mr. Cross?" Ms. Vance asked. "He's downstairs," Eleanor said, adjusting her simple gray coat. "He said he wanted to be here for the final breach of contract." The execution. Marcus Vance felt like he could fly. He shot out of the elevator into the bright marble lobby of DeWitt, Gable & Klein, his lawyer Robert at his side. "That," Robert said, giving a low whistle, "was the cleanest extraction I've ever seen, Marcus. A masterpiece. You're a legend." "It's all about predictive agility, Robert," Marcus said, tapping the side of his nose. He had never felt so powerful. He was a conqueror. "You see the patterns? I'll tell you the pattern I saw," Robert laughed. "I saw a woman who didn't know what she had, and a man who knew exactly what she was worth. She didn't even fight for the company. She let you keep everything." "Why would she fight?" Marcus said, his voice magnanimous. "She knows her place. She knows I built Sterling Solutions. She was the bookkeeper. A good girl, but, not in my league. Not anymore." He pulled out his phone, the black iPhone 16 Pro he had expensed to the company. He hit send on the text message to Tiffany. Her reply was a string of champagne and diamond ring emojis. His new life. His new queen. He was so euphoric over his own victory that he decided to share the wealth. He dialed his COO. "Paul, Paul!" he boomed, sweeping through the revolving doors onto the street. The November air was cool, but Marcus was a furnace of triumph. Yeah, boss." Paul's voice was metallic, nervous. He was a solid numbers guy, if uninspired. A perfect lieutenant. "Paul, my friend, great news. The distraction is officially resolved. The anchor is cut. We are clear for liftoff." "Oh," Paul said. "That's great, boss. Congrats." "It is great," Marcus said. "And to celebrate, I'm taking the real team out for steak. Clear my afternoon. Call the Capitol Grill. Get the private room. And tell the development team the first bottle of Dom Perignon is on me. We are celebrating the future. The uninterrupted future of Sterling Solutions." "Got it, boss. Steaks and champagne. You're the man, Marcus." "Damn right I am," Marcus said, hanging up. He stood on the sidewalk, Robert beside him. Both men smiling, owners of their universe. He was a king standing outside his castle, having just painlessly exiled his quiet, mousy, annoying queen. He looked down the street. "Where's the car I ordered?" he grumbled. "Right here, boss," Robert said, pointing, and Marcus looked up. It wasn't the black Lincoln Town car he had ordered. It was impossible. Standing silently at the curb, its presence making every other vehicle on the street look like a child's toy. It was a Maybach S600. Not just a car. It was a statement. It was a $400,000 block of polished obsidian. A silent, mobile fortress of obscene wealth. "Well, damn, Robert," Marcus breathed, impressed despite himself. "You really went all out on the congratulations card, didn't you? This is—" "That's not my car, Marcus," Robert said, his own voice suddenly small. "My Prius is in the garage." Marcus's smile faltered. He stared at the car. The windows were liquid black tint. It hummed. It wasn't idling. It was an alien presence. Then who? The revolving doors behind them hissed. Eleanor and Ms. Vance stepped out onto the sidewalk. Marcus barely noticed them. He was still staring at the car. This was the kind of car he should have. He was the visionary. The chauffeur's door opened. A man stepped out. He wasn't a chauffeur. He was dressed like one, in a sharper suit than Marcus's, but he moved with the precise, economical grace of a high-level security professional. He walked to the rear passenger door and opened it, standing at attention, and a man stepped out. Time stopped. The noise of the city, the traffic, Robert's breathing. It all faded. Marcus Vance's heart, which had been soaring, stopped in his chest. His blood turned to ice water. He knew that face. The world knew that face. It was the face staring from the cover of Forbes, Time, and Wired. The face of the man whose company, Ejida Innovations, was worth more than the GDP of most small countries. It was Ethan Cross. Marcus's mind, a high-speed processor a second ago, was now a blue screen of death. Cross here. Now. A wild, narcissistic, insane hope flickered. He's here for me. He heard about the divorce. He's making a play. He's here to buy Sterling Solutions. Marcus puffed out his chest. He straightened his Tom Ford tie. He took a step forward. His salesman's smile, the one that had charmed clients and investors for a decade, snapping back onto his face. He was ready to give the elevator pitch of his life. "Mr. Cross," Marcus began, his voice a strange, strangled version of his usual booming baritone. "Marcus Vance, I don't know if you—" Ethan Cross did not look at him. He did not glance at him. He did not even register Marcus's existence. To Ethan Cross, Marcus Vance was a patch of sidewalk, a lamppost, a thing. Cross's eyes, famous for their intensity and analysis, were fixed only on Eleanor. He walked past Marcus, stopped in front of the gray mouse, and smiled. It was not a polite smile. It was not a business smile. It was warm, personal, and brimming with a respect so deep it was almost a physical force. "Eleanor," Cross said, his voice a smooth baritone that commanded Marcus. "Is it done?" Eleanor. His Eleanor. The unambitious anchor. The domestic wife. She smiled back. A genuine, radiant smile that Marcus hadn't seen in 10 years. A smile that lit her from within, transforming her in that instant from a gray mouse to someone else. Someone powerful. "It's done, Ethan." Her voice was clear and strong. "The Romero protocol is secure. The Aegis engine is now just an empty shell." Marcus's smile didn't just fade. It cracked. It shattered. It fell off his face in 1,000 pieces. "What?" he whispered. "What? What's going on?" Marcus stammered. The words were glue in his mouth. "Eleanor, you know Ethan Cross." The gray mouse was gone. The woman who turned to him was someone he had never, ever seen. Her posture, which had been a mousy slump for a decade, was now perfectly straight. Her eyes, which he had thought dull, now gleamed with a cold, terrifying fire. She laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. It was the sound of a lock rusted shut for 10 years finally being sprung open. "Know him," she said, her voice dropping an octave. "Marcus, Ethan was my external examiner for my MIT doctoral thesis. The hobby you've been mocking. The knitting pattern you let me keep. The one you joked about." Ethan Cross offered Eleanor his arm. She took it. They look, Marcus thought with a sickening chill. Perfect together. Power and power. "Miss Romero's hobby, Mr. Vance," Cross said, his voice as cold and precise as a surgeon's scalpel, "is a predictive analysis engine that is Zidoan. Conservatively, 5 years ahead of anything Ejida has ever seen. It's not a business tool. It is Jisa, quite literally, a crystal ball. And you just gave it away." The blood drained from Marcus's face. The street pavement seemed to tilt beneath his feet. No, he sputtered. The Aegis engine. That's mine. The company. Sterling Solutions. Our intellectual property. It's in the contract. Indeed it is, a sharp voice cut in. Ms. Vance, the scalpel, stepped forward. And the contract is very clear. Sterling Solutions owns all work product you paid for, Mr. Vance. Cross checked his watch. A silent, impossibly elegant Patek Philippe Calatrava. Eleanor has not been a salaried employee of Sterling Solutions for 3 years and 4 months. Check your own books. You took her off the payroll to save on taxes and simplify the corporate structure. Your words, I believe. You categorized her as an unpaid spousal partner. Ms. Vance continued reading from her notes. Which means for 3 years, all of her work, all of her personal projects, including the Romero Protocol, have been hers. And, Eleanor added, her voice chillingly quiet, that little clause I asked for, the one you laughed at, the Romero Protocol, was never on a Sterling Solutions server, Marcus. Not the real one. The Aegis engine you've been selling was a 20 demo. A toy. The real engine, the V6.0, was on my own private network in my study, the one you called a fire hazard. The pieces were not fitting. They were colliding with the force of a nuclear detonation. Every single triumph. The Maldives. You planned this, Marcus whispered, his voice breaking. He looked from Eleanor to Ethan. This is collusion. Ethan Cross laughed. A cold, dry, humorless laugh. Mr. Vance, collusion is what criminals do. This is life due diligence. I've been trying for a decade, since the day she publicly humbled me at a coding competition. But she was loyal to a fault. She kept saying her husband's company needed her help. He shot Marcus a look of deep biological contempt. She, a rocket engine, was trying to power your bicycle. And you complained about the noise. So I waited, Cross continued. And when my team alerted me that you had filed for divorce, well, let's just say I reopened negotiations, and this time the offer was substantial. Egida is giving me, Eleanor said, her voice clear in the sudden silence, a $2 billion holding company to run. Romero Dynamics. We're moving the real V6.0 to the Zurich bunker tonight. $2 billion, Marcus choked. Oh, and Marcus, Eleanor said, turning. This part was for him, and him alone. You were right. I'm an anchor, an unambitious anchor. I found the text messages, Marcus. I found the Maldives booking. I found everything. She let that hang in the air. You were going to cut the cord, her voice a poisonous dart. You were going to buy me an apartment. You were going to cut out the cancer. I just got ahead of the scalpel. It's a lie, Marcus shrieked, looking at Robert. Robert, do something. Sue them. Robert, the bulldog, looked pale. He was looking at Ethan Cross, at Ms. Vance, and at the Maybach. He was a man who knew instinctively when he was outgunned. Marcus, Robert whispered, you told me she was a non-contributing spouse. You joked about the Romero Protocol. You signed the addendum. It's her property. It's all hers. We'll be late, Eleanor, Cross said, ignoring the meltdown. He gestured to the Maybach. Arthur will take you to Teterboro. The manager is waiting. I have one last piece of business to attend to here. Marcus's dwindling hope flickered. He's staying. He's talking to me. Eleanor got into the car. The door closed with a silent, heavy, final thunk. It was the sound of a vault slamming shut. The Maybach pulled away, its engine a whisper. She was gone. Marcus was left on the sidewalk. His $5,000 suit suddenly felt like a cheap polyester rag. He was alone, with Ethan Cross. Cross turned. The warmth he had shown Eleanor was gone. His eyes were Arctic ice. "Mr. Vance, Mr. Cross, sir," Marcus pleaded, his voice cracking. "Listen, this is a misunderstanding. Eleanor, she's emotional. We can make a deal." "We had a deal," Cross said. "You were my unwitting test subject, and you just breached your clause." Cross pulled a phone from his pocket. He didn't dial. He simply spoke to the man who materialized at his side, his head of security. "Alex, report to our legal teams. Gentech Pharma, Call Systems Logistics, Netcore Financial." Marcus's stomach dissolved. His 3 biggest clients. "All 3 are Agita Innovations portfolio companies," Cross said to Marcus conversationally. "All 3 signed with Sterling Solutions, based solely on the guaranteed performance of the Romero Aegis protocol. An engine which, as of 90 seconds ago, you no longer own, and are, in fact, legally prohibited from accessing per the addendum you signed." "No, wait, please," Marcus was choking. "Alex," Cross continued, "activate the breach of default termination clauses, all 3 contracts, effective immediately, and begin litigation. I want damages. I want everything. He built a company on me, on our IP. I want it back, with interest." You can't!" Marcus wailed. You'll ruin me!" Ethan Cross looked at Marcus. Truly looked at him for the first time. It was a look of deep, biological indifference, like a man looking at an insect he had just found on his shoe. "Yes," Cross said, "that is the point. You had a deal, Mr. Vance. You had a partner who was smarter than me, more loyal than you deserved, and you treated her as dead weight. You didn't just lose your wife, Mr. Vance. You lost your company. You just don't know it yet." Cross turned and walked away. A second identical black car, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, pulled up. He got in and was gone. Marcus was left on the sidewalk. He was no longer a king. He was a frozen statue at the exact moment of his own destruction. Robert, the bulldog, was backing away, holding up his hands. "Marcus, I can't. I recuse myself. You lied to me. You're radioactive. Don't call me." Robert turned, and for the first time in his professional life, ran. Marcus was alone. The sound of the city, the traffic, the people, it all rushed back in a deafening, painful roar. His personal phone buzzed. "Tiffany. I'm at Levon opening bottles. Where are you, my king?" He felt a wave of nausea so profound he had to grab a nearby lamppost. His other phone, the work phone, rang. The screen flashed. "Paul, what is it?" His hand was shaking so badly he could barely accept the call. "Paul," he started, his voice a hollow croak. The stakes, we're postponing." "Shut up!" Paul shrieked. The sound was so high-pitched, so full of pure animal panic, that Marcus held the phone away from his ear. "Just shut up! Marcus, what did you do? What do you mean the Aegis engine is gone?" "What do you mean gone?" Marcus whispered, a new cold terror sliding down his spine. "Down? Crashed?" "No!" Paul screamed. "Not crashed! Crashed I can fix! This is a vacuum! It's revoked! Our core system!" "It's not gone, Marcus. It's empty. The partitions are blank. All our proprietary code, the magic, it's just a blank directory. A login screen that we don't have the keys for. It's nullified. The backups," Marcus stammered. Call the backups. Restore from yesterday." "I am," Paul sobbed, a grown man sobbing. That's what I'm telling you. The backups are gone. The cloud instances are blank. The external cold storage. It's not gone, Marcus. It's encrypted, with a key we don't have. It's useless." Marcus, what is the Romero protocol?" Marcus's knees spoke. "Marcus, what is it?" Paul yelled. It's an illegal email that just hit my inbox. A cease and desist from Agita Innovations. It says, unauthorized use of Romero Protocol API. IPA. Marcus, that's our engine. That's the source code name. I never... Did you, Marcus? Marcus couldn't speak. He was just breathing. Short, shallow, panicked gasps. "Oh, God," Paul whispered. "Oh, God, it was her. It was all Eleanor. We all knew she was smart, Marcus, but we thought..." You idiot! You fool! You didn't divorce your wife, Marcus! You divorced the company!" An email chimed on his phone. The subject line was cold, hard. From legal@gentech.com. Subject: urgent notification of termination due to material breach of contract. Ping? From legal@callsystems.com. Subject: contract termination. Effective immediately. Ping. From legal@netcourt.com. Subject: legal action. Initiated. Damages for breach and fraud. It was an avalanche. It was a digital execution. In the span of 5 minutes, Sterling Solutions, his multi-million-dollar empire, his life's work, had evaporated. It was now just a brand name, an empty office, and a mountain of catastrophic, unpayable debt. The house. The Architectural Digest glass and steel mansion. The one he had put up as collateral for the last round of expansion. The one that was leveraged to the maximum. To pay for Tiffany's new consulting contract, the lump sum payment, the $500,000 he had just generously given Eleanor. It was the only liquid cash he had. And she had let him give it to her. She didn't need his money. She had taken it as a going-away gift. She had let him pay for his own execution. The sound that came out of Marcus's throat was not human. It was a raw, ugly, wounded animal sound. It was the sound of a man who had been skinned alive in 5 minutes on a public street. He, Marcus Vance, the Titan, the visionary, the face, slid down the lamppost. The $15,000 divorce papers, scattering from his numb fingers onto the wet, dirty pavement. He had smiled, signing the papers. He was now sitting on a dirty city street. And he wept. He wept for his company. He wept for his money. And he wept most bitterly of all for the watch he could never buy. And the woman who would never look at him again. The final damning news alert lit up his phone. Forbes. News alert: Ethan Cross and mysterious prodigy, Eleanor Romero. Launch $2 billion Romero. Dynamics to revolutionize AI. He looked at the picture of the Alps, the watch, the ring. He looked at his own dark, empty office. He looked at the Cartier bracelet, useless on his desk. He had smiled, signing those papers. He had thought he was closing a deal. He had been. He had simply been on the wrong side of it. And as the full, complete, and utter totality of his ruin, financial, professional, personal, finally settled upon him, Marcus Vance, the visionary, the king, the fraud, laid his head on his desk next to a bracelet from a woman who had dumped him. And for the first time, he cried. He cried for his company. He cried for his money. And he cried most bitterly of all for the watch he could never buy. And the woman who would never look at him again. Conclusion and final call to action. And that, as they say, is the end of Marcus's story, but the beginning of Eleanor's. We watch these stories and wait for the turn, That moment of karmic justice. Marcus thought he was the main character, but he was only the before picture in Eleanor's before and after. It's a powerful reminder. Never, ever underestimate the quiet ones. They aren't just listening. They are taking notes. What did you think of Marcus's downfall? Was it justified, or was Eleanor as cold as he was? Let us know in the comments below. If you loved this story and want to hear more tales of drama, justice, and shocking twists, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Click subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it with them. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Comment your opinion and join the conversation.